I believe in clearing clutter. When there is clutter in my environment, there's clutter in my mind. So I get rid of clutter, and as I do it, I think to myself, I let go of what I no longer need in my mind and in my environment.
I definitely work best with a clear desk, everything organized, not fastidiously, not too, I don't think anyone would think I'm an extremist. There's dust everywhere. But I know my mother once said, and it's probably been said by many before her, that, you know, as within, so without, you know, and if you see a lot of clutter, probably there's a lot of clutter here. And that might not always apply to folks, but for me it does. And I feel like I can begin clearing this up after I've cleared my desk and my workspace or play space. So it's orderly. Like the Germans, order is half of life.
My personal view on clutter is it's an inevitable byproduct of the creative process. So when you get busy writing or filming or whatever you're doing, you create clutter, but I find it very refreshing to get rid of it all, and then new things come.
I really don't think a lot about things in my external world too much anymore. I just know that when I'm in my creative space, my definition of creation is when I forget about myself. So taking the time out of your day to get in that space becomes a habit. So I do it all. I'm not the type of person that sips tea looking out at the ocean and, you know, has the leisure of just jotting down a few thoughts and contemplating. I'm the type of person that's always engaged in some type of process mentally. And I love the moment where you work in your mind and understanding something, and then it comes. I think that moment of realization is electricity or food for the body. So I don't really have a formula. I just kind of get excited about an idea and a concept, and then I become possessed by it until I'm really complete with it. And I think it just takes many forms.
So there's a lovely line in a book I read that says, the muse doesn't want to soil her gown when she enters. So I like to have a nice clean space. So I like, not order, I'm not too rigid, but I like things nice and clear so that I can just do what I love to do.
I'm a bit of a clutter clearer in life. I find that I'm very, very creative when I have a clean slate, when I have nothing going on. And I find that if there's too much going on in my life or too much clutter, I get bogged down by the clutter. And I enjoy being creative. I like making something out of nothing. And interestingly, my husband is the opposite. He likes clutter, and he likes having what he calls a lot of material or a lot of traction. And he uses that to create, like he creates organization out of chaos. I'm the opposite. I need there to be nothing, like it feels like a clean canvas on which I can create the life that I want. And I like every moment to be a clean canvas so I can create whatever I want in the next moment.
I kind of work okay in both environments. You know, there is an advantage when I clear my clutter. It does clear my mind, you know, and I have advised people to do that before. But sometimes just, you know, the way life happens and you end up picking up a lot of stuff, I get on okay. Do you know, in fact, I would say that I'm quite adaptable. And as long as I'm okay with being adaptable, then I find I can be creative regardless of where I am.
I absolutely believe in clearing clutter. I have written whole chapters on it in the books that I've written. The importance of making room for something new in your life. However, the title of my first book was Imperfectly Natural Woman. And this is something that I'm still at a very early stage of my own journey. Despite absolutely knowing that clearing clutter is a fantastic idea, I am unbelievably bad at it. If anyone would like to help me, come on down. I intrinsically know how important it is, and yet chaos seems to reside in every area, actually. And I'm really, really aware of how damaging it is. I really believe that. I think it really does represent who you are. And I know it's not ideal that right at this moment I have a messy handbag, a messy wallet, a messy bedroom. I have a floor drobe, I'm afraid and ashamed to say. My car, is messy. Thank you for the reminder. I absolutely believe in clearing clutter, and I need to start doing it.
You know, it's difficult to know if I would work, whether I work best in chaos and clutter or whether I work best in a clear workstation, because I've never had a clear workstation in my entire life. I mean, maybe like for 5 minutes when the cleaner's been, like before I get back to it, but actually even she's given up, you know. So I think we have to go with chaos and clutter. But it's interesting. I think it really doesn't matter. Like, you can think it matters, and then it matters because you think it matters. So I used to like working in small, dark rooms. Actually, as a kid, teenager, I used to work. I moved my desk at school into the elevator. It was like an L-shaped elevator. So there was still room for people to come in, but then they'd look left and there'd be this guy at his desk working. Because I liked the confined space, but it was nice to be interrupted every now and again by somebody coming through. And then I worked in basements for like 14 years. I wrote about 5 books in basement offices, like little garrets in the war. There was no war. But now I've got a big open space looking out over the treetops, and that's great too. So I think when I'm working, I don't notice where I am. So it really doesn't matter. And when I'm not working, I can be just as distracted by a clear, empty space. It's like looking at a blank page. There are days where that's the most wonderful thing to look at, and there are days where you just want to write anything so you're not looking at a blank page. I can be as distracted by a clear desk as a messy one.
I'm a Virgo. So I work best when I have calm on the outside as well as the inside. So I don't tend to work with anything around me. It's normally just me, my laptop, and I. And I'm the sort of person that quite likes to keep his desktop clean on his computer and things like that, you know. I mean, if it gets too... I have some friends that is just... They turn their desktop on, it's just folders and files everywhere, and I'm like... I mean, obviously you can meditate to get peace with it and stuff, but at the same time, you know, we're allowed to also have some calm amidst the chaos. So personally, I find I'm most creative when my external supports the internal I'd like to create.
I work best with a clear workstation, definitely. In fact, even before I write, I may just tidy up the office just a little bit. I may just put a couple of things away and just get things sort of, nice and neat and tidy. I just prefer to do it that way. It's just how I am. I like that feeling of just a clear space, clear mind. That said, I'm very happy to have interruptions. Strangely enough, I don't think of interruptions how I used to think of them. I used to think of interruptions as something that got in the way of my schedule and in the way of my flow. And now I find that if I have an interruption, often it's helpful because it gives me a little bit of a break. It gives my mind a chance to incubate for a little bit. It gives the mind a chance just to rest. And then when I come back to the work, I somehow find the thoughts have organized themselves in a way where everything's just a little bit more clear and a little easier to do. So space, clarity, but not too much. You know, I wouldn't say I'm anal about it. It's just a preference.